Morning, how you doing? Welcome along. Today is Wednesday. It's the 11th of May 2022. This is our 8 a.m. movement snack. Just finishing off getting myself ready here, look. Sockers on. There we go. My cup of tea. Just finishing my cuppa. Hope you don't mind that. And then I'm ready for you. This is your 8 a.m. movement snack at 8 a.m. today. We had a bit of an early one yesterday, and tomorrow's going to be early as well. It's going to be a 7 a.m. again tomorrow, all right? Because I've got to race into work for 8 a.m. So, if you're on catch up, as I'm sure a lot of you were yesterday, it was early. Welcome. Pop us a comment in, let us know what's going on. It's raining here. Now, at 4:30 this morning, the cat wanted to go out. I let her out, did her a bit of breakfast. It was lovely. Wake up at 6 o'clock, it's raining, it's horrible. So, let's see what today brings, eh? What's it doing where you are? That's what I want to know. Give me a little shout in the comments if you're on catch up. Now, I'm going to leave you there and I'm going to pop across to those people as they come on board live. I can see some comments, not comments coming in, but I can see some icons popping up. Hopefully I'll get a comment or two in a second. I'll just have a drink and tea. Mr. Anderson, I can see has just arrived. I think that's Dawn, I can see as well. Trying to make out who the other icons are. They're so small at the top of your phone, aren't they? Well, perhaps it's just my eyes are going up. My eyes are giving up on me. Hey. Right, so pop us a comment in, say hello, let us know what it's like doing your way. Is it raining where you are? Gonna get my hair wet today. Is it fine? What have you got planned for the day? I'm off to work after this. Be home about 8 o'clock. No, about 8:30 tonight. I'll be home from work. It's another long day, but hey, pays the bills, doesn't it? Pays the bills. And do you know what? I love it as well. So that's always a good thing, isn't it? It's nice when you love what you do. Like, spend time with you guys 3 times a day whenever I can. Not as often as I used to now since I've started this new job. But I still like to spend time with you. Do you know what? I miss you when we're not together. I miss you. Don't let me cry a little bit, but I'll be crying. Anyway, so they're going to say hello to me, so I've got no comments coming up. I think it might be a Facebook thing. They might be playing up. I've swooped them off and swooped them back on again, and still getting no comments. Maybe try one more time. I'm sure you're all saying hello and how are you and what the weather's doing, but I'm not seeing them. So I will catch up with those later, I promise. I'm going to race out the door straight after, so I might even be able to do it straight away. If not, it'll be about lunchtime. I can see Kelsey's just popped up as well. So I'm not getting any comments, so I'm going to keep an eye on the time. So excuse me while I just pop this down and see if I can see what the time is. And then we're going to go. We've got a minute to go. I'm just going to take a quick slurp of my tea, if you like, but I'm not going to slurp. I'm going to do it posh. Look, finger out and everything, look. Oh, lovely. Very nice. Very nice. Do love a nice cup of tea in the morning. Oh dear. There we go. Right, so I think we must be getting on for 8 a.m. Let me have a quick check. If we are, then we're ready for a swoosh whoosh ping. We are. Okay, so ready for your... Good morning, everybody. Welcome along. You're with Dave Montgomery from Later Life Training. Today is a soggy Wednesday, the 11th of May 2022. This is your 8 a.m. movement snack at 8 a.m. today. But a pre-warning for you. Tomorrow, it'll be at 7 a.m. again, okay? Now, in standing or seated, that is your choice. In standing, fixed external support. In seated, strong, sturdy chair. Make sure you've got that strong, sturdy chair. And make sure you've got some fixed external support, all right? I've got my socks on, I'm on a carpet, I can feel the floor beneath my feet. However, if you're on a solid floor, it's sensible, comfortable footwear, right? Now, posture-wise, we need to get the posture set. Before we do that, make sure there's nothing on the floor that can cause any problems. Remember, if you're watching this on catch-up, if you're new to us, because we've had lots of new people join us recently, you work at your own level. Whatever your range of motion is, it's correct. All right, you might want to have a look at the movement first and then decide whether you want to do it in standing or in seated or you want to use support. Remember also that it's available straight afterwards. So as soon as we've done it, within about a minute, It's there on our Facebook group. So you can even watch the whole thing and then do it afterwards. Posture-wise, in standing, we've got our heels in line with our knees are in line with our hips. We're lifting and lengthening to grow that a little bit taller. Bringing the shoulders up, taking them back and pressing them down. Seated-wise, we've got all that lining up to do as well. But before we do any of that, bring the back away from the chair. So we're supporting the body, not the chair. Lift and shift to bring yourself into the front third of the chair, so a little hip walk into the front third of the chair, and then we are set, we're ready to start with our circulation boosting. Both standing and seated, we start with heel raises. Bringing the heel off the floor, coming up onto the ball of the foot. This gets this movement happening, and our circulation boosting is about rhythmical, flowing movements that start small and then increase in size. Not speed, size. Okay? So from here, we can take it into a march, which gives us the opportunity to lift the foot clear of the floor, point the toes down, and start to get some more movement into those ankles. Seated wise, this can be a tough move in your hip flexors. You might get a little bit of muscle fatigue. So if you do, your option is you come back down into that heel raise, or how about a diagonal toe tap forward? So we've got a bit of a different movement. Pop an arm in, just the one to start off with, and it's a bent elbow. Don't just let it swing, it's not got any purpose. Let's get it into a bent elbow, so it's a purposeful, driven movement. Now, in seated and in standing, if we're not using support, we can change hands to the other side quite easily. If we are using support, we can still change hands, we just need to think about it. So hand down before the other one comes off, so there's always a hand on your support. Now that means if it's to the side, we might want to stay on this one hand a little bit longer, and then loose the arm, make the march a little bit smaller, take as many steps as you need to turn into your support, placing both hands on as you go past, remembering one hand on as you come back, and then bring that other arm in on the other side. And then finally, in standing and seated, well, in seated and in standing, if you feel steady and stable, why not both arms, both legs? Now the movement's bigger because more of the body's moving. We're increasing our heart rate, so we should feel that that heart rate starts to beat a little bit faster. You probably feel we're breathing a little bit heavier, a little bit. And that's great, that's what we want. This is about us getting that circulation moving, getting the body going. 2-3 minutes is what we're looking at. Getting the blood around, warming the muscles, warming and loosening those joints, setting us up, not just for the combination of mobility movements we're going to do, but for the day. Lose the arms. Make the march a little bit smaller. Bring it back down into that heel raise and then bring it to a pause. At this point, probably need to do a couple of deep breaths. We are set to start with combination number 1. So trio 1, trio 2, trio 3. There we go, that's just for you, Kels. I think Tim's with you as well, isn't he, over in Ireland. Right, base of support, heels just outside of our hips, look. Knees softened. We start with the shoulders. So, lift the shoulders towards the ears and then press them back down. Rather than just lower, try and press them past where you started, so we're getting the full range of motion. Neck stays long here, so keep those ears lifted. Bring the shoulders up towards the ears, not ears down to shoulders. 4 or 5 of those, and once you've done your 4 or 5, take a pause and let's take it into a turning movement. So, forward, up, back, shoulder blades together, and then press back down. So this cyclical movement, rolling those shoulders, slow and controlled, so we get the best range of motion, and we feel every part of that shoulder joint mobilizing. Again, we're looking at 4 or 5 of these, and once you've done your 4 or 5, have a little pause. Right, head. Now, have support available. Turning our head can make us feel a little disorientated. So have it available even if you don't need it. Eye line stays level and the movement is to turn to the side, pause in the centre and turn the other way. You'll notice that the chin stays level as well, so I'm not looking up or down. And I say, if you do feel any disorientation, pop your fingers down on that bit of support. That's going to help. You're going to feel a lot more undisorientated. I didn't need them all. All a lot. Because the body knows where it is in relation to everything else around it. Think about crossing the road, talking to your friends, all those sorts of things. We're continually turning our head and we're continually moving our shoulders. Every time we move our hands away from our body, the shoulders are involved. So, as you know with me, gesticulation all over the place. I can't talk without moving my hands. Once you've done your 4 or 5 of those, take a pause and let's go into the back of the neck. Now here, the eyeline is going to stay level, so we're going to give ourselves another chin. And that's fine. Fingers on your chin. Back and forth. Now you can either leave the fingers on the chin and all they're doing is guiding, they're not pressing, or leave the fingers where they are and then bring your chin back towards them. So again, a guide to where you've come and where you've started from and where you're finishing from. We're restacking the head back onto the top of the spine so the eyes stay level. We get that little bit of a tuck and we get this little extra chin in here because of it. That's okay. 4 or 5 of those. Once you've done 4 or 5, take a pause and we're going to go into a circulatory booster. It's 30 seconds. So, marching on its own, no arms. We'll do arms in our next bit of circulation boosting. And this is just 30 seconds to give it a little bit of a boost. We've allowed that circulation to come down a little bit while we've focused on those mobility movements. We've mobilised the top part of our body, our shoulders and our head. A little bit of a circulation booster before we come down into the trunk area. So 30 seconds, bring it to a pause and let's set ourselves into a good base of support. So heels outside of our hips, knees softened. Now, if standing's on your radar and you're in seated, get used to using this base of support. So take those feet wider as well. Lift, and the first movement is a side bend. Down to the side, pause in the centre, down the other way. Now, if you're using support in front, you can change hand every time. If it's to the side, we come into the support and back. You do exactly the same, going back into that support. 4 or 5 on the one side, then you take as many steps as you need to turn. In seated, your bum stays firmly on that chair. So in standing, you'll have seen that the legs and the feet were firmly planted on the floor. In seated, the buttocks stay firmly planted on that chair. It's the downward motion that lengthens through the side of the body. And let's think about, you might be reaching down to get something. It might be that pound coin you went down the side of the sofa. I'm sure if one fell out of your pocket and went down the side of the sofa. Or it could be you reaching onto a lower shelf to get something if you're in standing mode. You know, you could be here, you could be reaching to just get something out of a slide out cupboard in the kitchen. One of those sorts of things. That's the sort of moves that we're looking at as far as that is concerned. Use your leg as a guide, straight down, straight up. Don't allow yourself to come forward or backward. And feel the lengthening up the side of the body, opposite to where you're going. Once you've got a bit high pitch then, didn't I? Once you've done your 4 or 5 of those, have a little pause. I'll take a deeper breath and we'll go for a deeper voice. And we'll focus into a trunk twist. Now here we've got that same base of support. We want to focus on the hips not moving. In standing look, this is what it looks like. It's a rotation to the side, it's a pause in the centre, and then a rotation the other way. See how my hips stay still, so I'm not allowing myself to twist, otherwise I'm going to get a twist through the knee. Support in front, change hands for support every time. Support to the side, exactly the same, into the support and back. Now, you might want to use your support as a reference point as well. Put your bum against it or your hips at the front, because in seated, and you'll get this if you use your reference point, I can feel now that I've got any movement in my hips from the way that my bottom is on that chair. So, is the weight changing from buttock to buttock? Can I feel one of my buttocks lifting? If I can, I've got movement in my hips. If I can't, hips are still. So this can be a great thing, and I often say to people when I start to use this move with people, do it in seated to start off with. Get used to that movement and then bring yourself into a standing position, because you can master the fact that the hips aren't moving while you're in this seated position, and then when you come up into standing, you find it a lot easier. But that's just me. All right, 4 or 5 each side. Thinking about seat belts, possibly getting your hand back into that last bit of the coat, yeah? But rolling over in bed as well. There's the new law, there's the Dutch law as far as opening your car door is concerned, that you're supposed to open with the opposite hand, so you naturally turn to take a look, make sure a bike's not coming. You know, I've got a little thing on the front of mine, it's called a mirror. I use that, but hey, you know, here we go. Some people obviously don't. Right, so once you've done your 4 or 5 of those, take a pause and we're heading into our lower back. It's our big back extender. Now here, I'm going to show you the seated first. There is no leaning back, all right? It's a lift of the chest and then an extension of that shoulder and the chest area backwards. And that gives us the extension in the lower back. In seated, I can feel through the way that my bottom and my top part of my thighs are on that chair, and the weight within that, if I've got movement in my pelvis, because we don't want movement in the pelvis. If we get movement in the pelvis, we lean. So again, in standing, you might want to use your support. But here it is in standing, look. Again, eye line level, lift the chest, extend the shoulders. And that gives us that lower back. Now certainly, anybody who has lower back pain, you're going to feel that into the lower back, and it should feel really lovely. 4 or 5 is what you're looking at. Try and get the best range of motion you can, but remember, keep this pelvis still. Don't be tempted to lean back to get a little bit more. So it's a lift of the chest and then an extension backwards. Keeping the eye line level, you're going to get that double chin again. Once you're done 4 or 5, take a pause and we're into Circulatory Booster number 3. Just the arms this time. So drive those elbows backwards. And we can make it a little bit bigger, can't we? We can reach forward a bit more. We can drive those elbows backwards. Get a bit bigger movement. Just boosting that circulation one more time before we head down to our final trio, our ankle, feet and toes. Now here, if you're in seated and standing is not on your radar, then go through one of the other movements we've just done. So you might want to revisit either one of the head and shoulder movements or the trunk movements. If it is on your radar, come with us. Bring these arms down, make them a little bit smaller. Bring them to a pause. Take a breath. Right, let's move into ankle, feet and toes. So in standing, use support. Get the best movement. Don't focus on balance, all right? Leg that's close to support, knee is soft. You're going to bring me, child's leg up a little bit here. So what we're going to do here is the toe comes on the floor and then we lift and put the heel in the same place. You can do it the other way around first if you want to, whichever you find more comfortable. The key thing is heel and toe are in the same place. Once you're comfortable with it, take your arm to the front. And when your heel's on the floor, splay your toes. As you bring the foot over, scrunch them and then point them when you put them down. Okay, so here, toes are open, I scrunch and then I point. 4 or 5 on one side and then you change to the other. Now in seated, we can do that same movement. We just need to adjust where our feet are, so we've got room for it, okay? But there's that toe and heel movement. And again, splay, scrunch, point. But we can also take a little arch on back in the chair. Extend the leg away so it's just about an inch off the floor. That's all. Point the toes away, and here you can scrunch them. And then bring the toes in towards the shin and splay your toes. And that gives us that same movement. Now, I made the point that that's not about balancing, so use your support. This isn't about strength, so keep it low. Don't let the leg drift up. And if you need to, pop it down every couple of moves. Every one if you need to. Do it, pop it down, bring it back up. It's not about building strength, it's about getting that best range of motion out of that ankle joint. Once you've done 4 or 5 on one side, you change to your other side. Why do we focus on our ankle joint? Because our ankles play such a crucial part in our stability. Now, in standing, if we take it to its nth degree, here we are, look, there's that heel strike, there's that toe. So here's the heel on the floor with the toes up, we're bringing it into that, onto the toe. It's a walk, exaggerated here, certainly, but that's the movement. And those ankles will always react to the floor that's underneath them. So that's why we build mobility. We look at strength and we look at flexibility throughout the day as far as those ankles are concerned as well. There you go. That is your 8 a.m. movement stack for this Wednesday. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. But you can do it on catch up at 8 a.m. if you want to, okay? I'll try and be as bright and breezy as I was yesterday. I don't know why I was so chirpy yesterday morning at 7 o'clock, but hey, there you go. Perhaps because I've got an exciting day ahead. I want you to now go forth. Have a great day. Hopefully the weather's nice. I'll try and catch up on comments afterwards. Because they just weren't coming up for me. But stay active, stay mobile and moving, and get your crowbar out and put a few more of those movements in. You know, if you've been sat down for a while, have a circulation boost, have a bit of a mobility. There's plenty of opportunities to add extra minutes of movement into our day. And that's what this is all about. And they're all movements that we do in everyday life. Anyway, stopping rabbiting. I'm going off to work. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great one. Toodles.